15 years, blowing the doors off the competition. Podcasting to planet Earth.
PNRNetworks.com.
This podcast is a member of the Blueberry Network. Blueberry. No E's. That's Blueberry, BLUBRRY.com. Blueberry.com.
This podcast is a proud member of the Lamb Podcasting Network. Find the network at largeassmovieblogs.com.
This is a Class 1 emergency. All civilian traffic is barred from streets and highways. Stay in your homes. Stay in your homes. Stay in your homes. Repeat, this is a Class 1 emergency. All civilian traffic is barred from streets and highways.
Do not panic. Do not panic. We've got the quirky films for your quarantine blues. Subject Cinema presents Captive Audience Theater with T.C. Kirkham and Kim Brown.
You know how we always love to watch Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Yes, we do.
We still love to watch it when it's on.
Yes, we do.
One of the best things about it is I think Colin Mockery was basing his dinosaur on this particular movie because he's got those short arms and all that stuff.
Well, I would have rather watched a movie about a giant Colin Mockery rampaging through frickin' Denmark.
Oh, that's scary. Welcome to Subject Cinema presents Captive Audience Theater. I'm T.C. Kirkham.
I'm Kim Brown.
And we are going back to 1961. You know how certain countries should probably never take a stab at certain genre films? This is one of those. Yes. From Denmark, Reptilicus, 1961.
Yep.
Oh my God, this is a terrible film.
This film sucks.
This is Denmark's entry into the kaiju film.
Yes.
And has the goofiest looking monster since the Giant Claw.
Yeah. This actually could make the Giant Claw laugh, probably. The story
Giant Claw is still goofier looking, but this is the goofiest one since then.
Yeah. Well, the Giant Claw, like we mentioned when we reviewed that show, when we did that earlier on Captive Audience Theater, where our motto is,
if we have to suffer, you have to suffer. So deal with it.
Yep. As we mentioned on that one, the Giant Claw, the titular creature who looked like Beaky Buzzard's crackhead cousin, with Reptilicus, we get what basically looks like, I don't know, Cecil,
a giant puppet.
Cecil the C6 sea serpent's strung out sister-in-law or whatever. Try and say that 10 times fast. Okay, coming from that enormous, the churner out of horror movie after horror movies that were the Danes.
Sarcasm. Hashtag sarcasm.
Da 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 da. It's a free show, people. What do you want? A piece of tail. No, not that kind.
What?
No, it's not that kind of movie either, sadly.
We did that already on Blood Feast. Yeah.
No.
Well, sort of. Yeah, it's very sex horror film.
Well, yeah, I suppose.
Anyway.
Well, there's semi-naked ladies in it anyway. The portion of an animal's dead body, let's call it what it is dug up during a dig during an expedition in Lapland. They're like digging down into the ground, which is all frozen because it's Lapland, so it's cold.
They're looking for mining opportunities.
Yeah, they're going to be and it's like really super cold ground, so it's really hard to dig through. You can't just go up there with a big caterpillar and go like...
Right, you gotta have these gigantic industrial drillers to get down there.
So you have this big, long, sharp thing plowing down into the soft Mother Earth. Phallic symbol, anybody? And
knew she was gonna go there. Knew it.
Up comes not a ground of bubbling crude, but bits of an animal. Yes, I just made a Beverly Hillbillies reference. Deal with it. So they find out that what they've got is, it's not only part of an animal, it's not like skeleton or anything like that. It's flesh. It's actual, flesh. And it's not all rotted away or anything like that. So I'm like, oh, that must smell fantastic.
Well, not while it's frozen.
So they bring it to the Denmark Aquarium, which is located in Denmark, Copenhagen to be specific. And they put it in the super cold room so they can, try and figure out what kind of animal it's from. On and on and on. There's a problem. Things go wrong, as they often do in these films. And the whole temperature thing, keeping the room cold and all that, breaks down. The problem is, they find out, they're all like, oh no, it's going to be wrecked and destroyed. Nope. When they go into the room to check out the thawed material, it's not only not thawed as in spoiled and rotting in a big putrid mess.
It's growing.
Yeah. It's
dun dun dun.
It's growing back into an actual being. Which
they don't know that yet. Well, it's growing into something.
It's growing again, which is, other than the fact that it's from 9 kabillion years ago, is flying in the face of every single scientific theory ever done, ever.
Yeah, I suppose you could say that there's something wrong in Denmark.
You could. I really wish you would.
Just trying to bring some culture to the film.
You want to try? I know you're trying to be classy. So as it turns out, I
could have done it. There's something wrong in Denmark.
No, it's not on the wing of a plane. So quit it. Yes, that was a Twilight Zone reference. We're trying to get in a whole bunch of things because goodness knows the wafer thin plot of this film is not helping. So as it turns out, one of the people that one of the scientist types, Professor Martins, decides to name this creature Reptilicus, which he does after it's suggested by one of the reporters.
Who knows what about Latin animal names?
Yeah, that happens a lot.
Okay.
And he compares it to a starfish. Like if you take a starfish and you cut it in half, you're going to get 2 starfish, I guess.
Yeah.
If that was the case, that means we'd have a giant starfish running amok in Copenhagen, and we could call the Justice League, and everything would be solved, and everything would be fine.
And there'd be a starfish stuck on your face.
And I got there before you did. Ha! And I hate that character, and thank you for putting that image into my head.
You got the picture off the movie that they got the idea for.
Why don't you call 1-800-BITE-ME? Anyway, as it turns out,
hello, 1-800-BITE-ME. Arg.
As it turns out, Reptilicus does regenerate, and no, he doesn't regenerate into a giant starfish. Instead, he regenerates into
a giant lizard.
Yeah.
But
sure.
Not Godzilla, unfortunately.
No.
Because that would be worth watching.
This creature, somehow from this hunk of flesh, regenerates not only flesh, cartilage, it regenerates bone, muscle, nerve endings, an entire inner skeleton, a brain, and everything.
And these incredibly tiny, absolutely useless arms.
And little bitty wings that don't work either. And promptly breaks out of the museum and starts running amok in Denmark.
Amok.
Yeah. As it turns out, besides being a big frickin' dragon thing, it also spits some kind of corrosive radioactive acid. So, toxic loogies. Now, pretty much. That's happening over and over again in the film. Watching that happen, watching what looks basically like green slime from You Can't Do That on Television launching out of the mouth of a puppet. Or a marionette, to be more accurate.
Why do you suppose that is?
I don't know. Ah! Ew! Oh, you planned that! You bastard! Oh, it's in my hair! Ew!
She's kidding. I don't really have a bucket of green slime. Anyway.
Blech.
And for those of you who are too young to remember You Can't Do That on Television, read about it on Wikipedia. You don't know what you missed. Anyway.
Ask your parents and shut up. Needless to say, because they have so much experience dealing with kaiju, as in none,
Well, does anybody really have experience dealing with kaiju?
Yeah, the Japanese.
No. I mean, before Godzilla appeared, there were no kaiju.
Well,
now they're all over the place. You got them in Japan. You got tons of them in Japan. You got them in Britain. You got them in USA. You got them in Denmark.
The one in Britain was...
Is there one from Australia I'm not aware of at this point? Or maybe Russia or
Hold up. The one from
Spain?
Britain... The one from
Italy?
Britain is their own damn fault, because they brought Gorgo in on their own.
Yeah, it's amazing. There was no Italian one, was there?
Not that I can think of.
You'd think there would be, since they copy everything else. Anyway. Well, they do. Their low budget films are all copies of American and British, and I mean they don't even try to hide it.
No, they don't.
Even they still do that, but it's not their top notch.
No, we've never
either.
seen kaiju Italian style, as far as I know, and I don't really want to. Anyway,
that doesn't have the same ring as Love American Style.
Stop it. Going back to Reptilicus, the Danish army is, of course, like, oh my God, what do we do? And the American army is like...
Take your helmets off, they'll be blinded by your bright blonde hair!
To everybody from the beautiful country...
Don't go there. You've said the same thing watching this film. It looks like these people literally have had their hair dyed bright blonde.
Yeah.
Okay.
But to the people of the beautiful country of Denmark, we would like to apologize for being a bunch of insensitive jerks. Anyway, as I mentioned, they're all like, OMG, what do we do? So the Americans come in, because there's obviously American military over there, because of course there are. And one of the military dudes from America is all like, I'll handle this because I'm an American and we take over everything. Yay, capitalism. The problem is that they can't do the usual things that the army wants to do. You know, blam, 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 blam.
That'll make more of them.
Yeah. The scientists are all like, oh my God, you can't do that. Are you crazy? And the military is like, well, why can't we? And the scientists are all like, well, think about it. This creature was created because we brought back a piece of it and it grew from that. If you blow it up, if they keep blowing up these creatures, I mean, the whole earth could be covered with these scaly mothers.
We're doomed! Doomed! I'm telling you, doomed! Wow, that hurt.
I'm really sorry I had to do that. So the
producer's reference, in case you're not catching it. Anyway.
So the military have to come up with another way to try and kill this creature without, making more of them.
Why don't we just tickle it to death?
Why don't you shut up? While it's running amok and killing people all over the place. You did that joke already. And causing
I can't do anything right, can I? Jeez. Try to contribute when I'm just going to keep my mouth shut. Then. I am in a permanent state of shushness.
Anyway. So they've got to try and come up with another way of getting rid of this beastie without, chopping off other bits of it, because that will create more. Will they come up with a solution? Does anybody care? That's the whole point of Reptilicus. And if you're talking to me again, you might actually want to say the cast list.
Nope.
Oh, please. They'll be so disappointed if you don't. A good cast is worth repeating. I've no idea what that has to do with this movie.
I was going to say.
But anyway.
Carl Ottoson as General Grayson, and Smearmaner as Lisa Martins, Mimi Heydrich as Karen Martins. Asbjørn Andersen as Professor Martens. Depending on which version you see, Bodil Miller or Marla Behrens as Connie Miller. One of them is in the Danish version, the other in the American version. Bent Melding as Sven Vittorf, as well as Povel Wildke, Dirk Passer, and Ole Westborg.
Yeah.
They made this movie for $100,000, and boy, does it show.
The thing is, they actually made it twice. That's the sad part.
Mm-hmm.
They made the original version, which was in the Danish language, and they made an American version, which was in English with almost a completely identical cast, except for the one lady, as you mentioned. And AIP said no. I mean, that's pretty bad when AIP says, no, we can't release this. But they wound up releasing it eventually.
But with it dubbed.
Yeah, and they did dub it.
Yeah. It is Denmark's first, only, and last giant monster film, and has a cult following in its home country. I can't think about why.
For the same reason Birdemic has one in our country? I don't know.
Oh, okay. That's fair enough.
It might suck, but it's ours, damn it. It's that attitude, I guess.
It has a 3.9 out of 10 on the IMDb, and on Rotten Tomatoes, it holds a 25% average. An official awarding of bomb from the Leonard Maltin Film Guide.
Well, if you're going to be awarded anything by Leonard Maltin, it might as well be that.
It has been released on Blu-ray by Scream Factory as a double feature with another film we've recently covered, Tentacles. Mm-hmm. Oh, yes, so Italian did have... There has been an Italian kaiju movie.
Yeah.
So
well, actually,
that wasn't until later in the 70s.
Well, technically, no, it's not.
That's technically a giant animal movie.
It's a giant octopus, but
really
it's not a kaiju-sized giant octopus.
Right.
It's more of a rip-off of Jaws, also with some eco-horror thrown into it.
Reptilicus can be found in a number of ways, but you can search it on your Kindle Fire, your Google Fire, whatever you've got.
You can also
It'll be there. Mm-hmm. But I would highly suggest that you watch it as the first installment of Mystery Science Theater 3000: The Return.
Yes.
From 2017 with Jonah Ray and the Bots.
Because that's one of the only ways it makes it bearable.
That's the only time I've ever seen it all the way through, beginning to end. And it's
I remember
at least more tolerable than it would be just watching it.
I remember this movie from when I was a little girl.
A wee tot.
I remember it from when I was a little girl watching it on Creature Double Feature, and even as an 8-year-old or younger, it was like, this is supposed to be scary? Mm-hmm. To who?
It is pretty amazing that this show has popped up. This movie has popped up in a lot of different television shows. It was featured in the South Park episode Canceled. It popped up in clip form on various episodes of The Monkees. It was featured in a drive-in movie during a date with Jethro and a girl on the Beverly Hillbillies. The titular creature is pictured on a whiteboard in the satire film Cabin in the Woods, and it has been talked about in music and other movies as well, which is pretty interesting because
this movie sucks.
It just sucks from beginning to end.
It sucks. And that's actually going to fall into the category that we're going to put this movie in, because this film falls under two categories, and one of them is
jumping on the bandwagon.
Yes, one of them is definitely jumping on the bandwagon because they figured, well, if the Japanese can do it, we can do it. No, you can't. And it also falls under wasted potential. Because when you think about it, if you had people who A, knew what the F they were doing, and B, had a budget, and C, knew what the F they were doing, this could have been a really cool idea for a film.
Although, in defense of the Danes, you don't always have to know what you're doing from the beginning to get a decent final product. Take, just recently, the two excellent Norwegian disaster films, The Wave and The Quake. The Wave was the first ever disaster film done in Norway, and it stands head and shoulders above everything Hollywood has done since the 1980s.
Yeah.
And The Quake is also a good film. It's sequel. So definitely.
See, that's the thing that's such a head desk moment about this film. If you actually, A, had a monster who was frightening, and B, had a monster where you couldn't see the string. I mean,
it is visible.
For everybody who complains about kaiju films, oh, man in a suit, blah, blah, whine, bitch, moan, kvetch, complain.
Don't use a marionette.
Oh my gosh, that stuff is light years in comparison to this.
Yeah.
You know, this, which looks like something that's escaped from a Punch and Judy meets the island of Dr. Moreau or something like that. It's just a complete F up. But
this would make an interesting, wouldn't this make an interesting character to do as a sub-animatronic,
oh, yeah.
thing?
Yeah.
That's been in discussion the last week on the internet, is the fear of submersible animatronics. And man, Reptilicus would be right up there.
Yeah, if it wasn't actually just a puppet and looked like a puppet.
Yeah.
But the whole idea of this rampaging thing that can't be killed the traditional way, and you have to figure out how to kill it really quickly before it, wipes everybody out, that would be really cool, except for the fact that it was done by these people with a frickin' marionette.
Yeah.
Who looked like a marionette.
Yeah.
And you had characters that you cared about as much as your average Lego figure.
Yeah.
And, oh man. So that's why this gets both jumping on the bandwagon and wasted potential as the categories that this little piece of celluloid pain fits into in our little recipe box of disastrous films.
Captive Audience Theater will continue through the end of the summer. We hope that you will continue to listen 2 or 3 times a week and enjoy our little mini reviews of these terrible films. Mm-hmm. And you can do so on the regular site at subjectcinema.com. You can also find them on ecinema1.com and ecinema.boston.com. We have a number of other shows that we hope you will check out, including my disaster show, Catastrophe Vortex, back for its first season in 2 years. Mm-hmm. All new stuff going on, and some great stuff to boot. There's also Kim's plethora of shows. Mm-hmm. She has her great role-play channel, Platinum Rose Roleplay, over at YouTube, plus her wrestling show, Ring Around the Rosie, and her supernatural show, Platinum Rose's Garden. All available on their various websites and through the PNR Network site as well.
And you can check out some of our older shows if you want to. You can check out Subject Cinema. You can check out
Front Row 5 and 10, which is coming back. And we have Tuesday Digidex and 3 Minute Weekend, our mini podcast. Mm-hmm. Just Tuesday Digidex has been operative right now because there's nothing coming out on Fridays pretty much.
And also our good buddies Eric and Valerie.
K-Babble! K-Babble.com. Great movies, great games, and odd things to eat.
Yep.
From a Missouri perspective at kbabble.com.
If you want to follow me on Twitter, you can follow me at PlatinumRoseL at Twitter.com.
I am at eCinema1 on Twitter.com. We can also find us at Popcorn and Roses on Facebook and PNR Networks on Instagram. Mm-hmm. Like, share, subscribe, and spread the word. Yep. And if you got something you'd like to say to us directly, please do. Our email is subjectcinema@pnrnetworks.com.
And spread the word and make sure that that's all you spread right now.
Yeah, don't spread coronavirus.
Nope. Make sure... Well, actually, no. You should also spread positivity, love, and an end to racism.
Yeah, that too.
That sucks worse than corona.
Yeah, there's going on all kinds of crazy stuff all over the country.
Yep, but
as if coronavirus wasn't enough, now we've got a lot of other stuff going on. And hopefully, it's the beginning of getting things changed. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, and we hope that everybody else out there is staying safe, social distancing, wear a mask, wash your hands, and call your grandma. For Captive Audience Theater, I'm T.C. Kirkham. I'm Kim Brown. May your butter always stay popcorn. Ow! And may your roses always be... Ow! That freaking hurt, man! Bye, folks. Jerk.
You've been listening to Subject Cinema Presents Captive Audience Theater with Kim Brown and T.C. Kirkham. Produced by PNR Networks, Boston, Massachusetts.
19 years, blowing the doors off the competition, podcasting to planet Earth.
PNRNetworks